This is podcast episode 3, the SB version.
Roll call is the name of it.
Yeah, we're going to call this a roll call.
This is the Loyal Kinfolk podcast, episode 3, roll call. All right, so today we wanted to share some of the who's of TTL. We've had a lot of great feedback from the community, our listeners and viewers. And I think, for me at least, the number one requested bit of information is we want to know who is at TTL. Have you had similar conversations with some of our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, people are curious, but not curious in the sense that they want to know who these people are, but more curious in the sense of what kind of people are we dealing with. SB has her notebook, or what's it called?
Tablet.
So she has her notes on her tablet.
Yep. Oh, wow. Okay, we're clowning me today. That's all right. Go ahead, clown me. Oh, my mom's calling me. Should we answer?
Answer it.
You know what?
Try to say something for the podcast.
Yeah, we are. Hi, mommy.
Hi, Mija. Hi, baby. How are you?
I'm well. You're on speaker, and we're recording our episode 3 of our podcast.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, Lorenzo. So are you guys on break? Is that why you answered your phone?
No.
You're a special guest on our podcast today.
You are. You're our first call-in guest. Are you up for this?
Okay, I have a question.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
The dim sum place on Clement Street, what color is the awning?
Oh, my God. Anyways, so let's get back into roll call. Thank you for the short visit from our special guest. And I think let's start with Edmund. I would say he was the first person that stuck in my mind.
Yeah, he was the most open. He was very open with us.
Yes.
Like right off the bat.
Yes, very direct also. So Edmund works for, or he worked, it's past tense now, he worked for Urban Alchemy, right? And he was, I think, maybe the manager of the public restroom that he was responsible for keeping clean and metering the attendants that go in and out. And gosh, I feel like we met him the first day we went to the Embarcadero.
Yeah, we met him the very first day.
Do you remember anything about that first day?
I remember you spoke to him the first day. I didn't speak to him the first day.
Okay.
Because we were trying to talk to multiple people that day.
Yeah.
So we kind of had our own group of people that we approached. So
that first day, I think really he told us about the work that he does and talked a little bit about some of the homeless people that were down around that area. Because, that day we came with food, right? So he was like, yeah, these people here probably want some food. There's some groups over on this side of the Embarcadero. There's some up this way. And he was just very helpful, I felt like. Did you have any one-on-one conversations with him that day or later or ever?
Not that day, but the next time I saw him, the second time we went up there to the Embarcadero, he was basically like, oh, good to see you guys out here again. And I kind of told him what we're doing a little bit more in depth, and he was all for it. He kind of gave me a little bit of his background story because he was one of the people that I knew I wanted to highlight moving forward. So I know he was in prison for 30 years.
22.
22? I thought it was 30.
It was 22. Well, I just looked up your old Instagram post.
Oh, okay. 22 years.
Yeah.
He was in prison for a string of armed robberies.
Mm-hmm.
And some other stuff. Some not as drastic stuff. But he told me that, he learned a lot from being in prison, of course. And now he's just trying to get his life together and do better for himself. Maybe you can piggyback on some of the businesses that he's trying to start up, and he's really just trying to get back into hustling and making some money and doing better for himself. Long story short.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to make it a long story short, because it's my episode. I like the long stories.
Okay. Do your thing.
Based on what you wrote on your Instagram post, which, to be honest, is sometimes the best representation of when we meet people, because you tend to post within 24 hours and all those memories are fresh.
Follow me on Instagram, Loyal Kinfolk 2.
That was unintentional, but important. And so your post on Instagram said he was recently out of jail, having been in jail for 22 years, which I do remember. That jogged my memory. And some of the later conversations I had with him, he went on to tell me about how he was very young. The armed robberies that he described, I think, were like he targeted banks, which is like a very kind of stereotypical crime to commit. And he just always said, I was a young man and I don't know if he ever said he didn't know any better, but he always had this sense of self-awareness, especially at the place where he was in his life right now. And that he was always, I think, grateful that he had the opportunity to learn from his mistakes in jail, in spite of how difficult it was for him to be in prison, which I wish I had written down our conversation, but we definitely had a day where he just was describing how hard it is to be in prison. I believe he got his GED, and like you said, Zoe, he was always a very entrepreneurial person. So he told us once about an idea he had while he was in prison, and there are some social services that you get when you're in jail if you're kind of, you're a good prisoner, right? Like you get more responsibilities and a little bit more, I don't know if freedom's the right word when you're in jail, but that's the word that's coming to mind. And so he had some sort of mentorship program where he was trying to invest some of the money that he made, right? Because when you're in jail and you work, you get paid a little bit of money. He was trying to invest that money to set up his life after prison. And I just remember he was telling us he told me in particular, just how the prison system doesn't want you to think ahead. The prison system doesn't want you to believe that you're going to get out. And if you do get out, they don't want you to feel prepared. That was his impression of it. That was the experience he had. So obviously that's a very powerful conversation to have over lunch.
Yeah. Right?
But he was always so generous with his time, and he just was so comfortable talking to us. So that's Edmund. I could keep talking about Edmund, right? Remember when he told us that when he first got out of jail, he didn't want to live on the streets and he didn't want to stay in like the halfway houses. So he lived in his car and he got a gym membership, and he would drive into work early so he could go to the gym and take a shower. And like no one knew that that's what he was doing, because he just had that much pride in taking care of himself and like not wanting to fall into any kind of temptations that would have arisen from doing it any other way. Very entrepreneurial. He always told us that we needed to be thinking bigger.
Yeah, like he would always tell me like, you're doing all this photography and videography, like do something with it. Go shoot movies. Go, think bigger. Like do your own films and enter film festivals and all these things. So he was always very motivational and trying to help us out and get us to think bigger. So I appreciate him for that.
I really do too. I think within the first few days that we started being friends, he was always like, I'm trying to go to Arizona. I'm saving money. I don't know if he had a friend there or if he had family or if he just had done the research and he knew that his living situation would be more comfortable moving there. But he did it. He's been gone since November.
It's been a couple months, yeah.
Yeah, at least November, maybe even September, October.
We should call him.
Do you have his number?
Yeah.
I don't have his number.
I have his number. I haven't called him.
We should call him.
People don't have a clue about how bad the homeless population in San Francisco is. And most people that do see them homeless, the attitudes is to hell with them. I don't want to have nothing to do with them. But they fail to grasp that these people are still just that, people, human beings. And the thing about it is that a lot of them want to have better situation, but they don't know about how to go about doing it. And these so-called government agencies that's supposed to be assisting them, it's really not doing the job that they were set up to do. Most of the people that work there is too lazy to do their job and to help these people get the housing they need, get the medical treatment that they need, and the other things that they need. And so these people are being continually pushed further and further down into society gutter instead of someone doing something about the situation. San Francisco allows certain things to happen, and it's like, who cares? But San Francisco is a tourist city. So why would you want people of your city out in tourism and cause things to happen that where people's getting robbed, people's getting hurt, and people decide, well, I don't want to go to San Francisco no more. You know how many people out here complain about the homeless population, and these people from other countries, other cities, other states. And the thing about it is because of the fact that no one wants to do anything about it. How can you say you don't care about the homeless situation, yet people that are out here is trying to do the best they can? Jobs is scarce out here. Yes, you can find jobs in San Francisco, but the thing about it is that the hoops you have to go through to get them is real bad. You have to have ID, you have to have resume, and a lot of these people don't have all that. They're basically worrying about what they're gonna eat today, where they're gonna sleep tonight. They don't have time to do a resume. They don't have time to go looking for a job because of the fact that their main needs is not being met. I was homeless for 14 months. So I know what they're going through, but yet I'm of a different breed. I refuse to lay down, I refuse to quit. And so I went out and did what I had to do to find jobs on my own. I didn't sit back and wait for the city to help me, because I already know that they're not gonna help me. By the time they get something done, 6, 7 months or a year have passed, and I'm still living on the streets. I'm not making no money. And so I did my own thing and went and found my own jobs. But the thing about this is that the population is bad. You got people out here at night defecating on the streets. Why? Because there's no place for them to use the bathroom. And then people want to complain about it. Don't complain about something you're not willing to do something about. And that's how it is. This is real talk, raw talk. My name is Edmund K.
Edmund was a great beacon. You know, we'll think about the word. If you know the word, tell us what the word is. I didn't do words with friends. I'm not good at Scrabble or crosswords. So viewers and listeners, if you know the word that I'm thinking of, just let us know. Let's transition to Dwight, because he's another person who's no longer in the city. Dwight is, I mean, we didn't like using the word character for Edmund, but Dwight is a character. He's larger than life. I mean, he's an entertainer. He's a drummer, at minimum. I think a musician more so than anything. He's a comedian. He is also an entrepreneur. And when was the first time we met Dwight? I think you met him first.
I think it was the second day that we went out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember anything about that?
I have this video.
This is called The Chronicle of San Francisco. It's a brand new digital mirror. Go see it. I'm proud to be a part of this. They gave me a drum spot here. I'm very proud to be a part of the San Francisco. He shot it. It took him a whole year to film it. It's from 10:30 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Go to 3rd and Howard Entrance. The San Francisco Museum of Modern Arts, and you see all these wonderful people. And you have me up there because I'm playing the drum. I'm excited. And that's me right here. See? Very proud. Thank you.
You know, I don't know a lot about Dwight's past, like how he got to SF or the Embarcadero.
He definitely told me that he's homeless simply for the fact that housing is so expensive.
Yes. Yes,
and that was as simple as he got with me.
I agree with that. I remember him saying that. Well, and Dwight moved around a lot too. Like he wasn't at every TTL.
No, he wasn't.
And
he was there most of the time though.
He was.
In the beginning, at least. In
the beginning, and then he told us, Dwight's a great story, actually. He had to catch a flight, remember? He was flying out to the East Coast.
Yeah, so when we first met him, he kept telling me that he was leaving San Francisco. Actually, you're right. I think either the first or second time we saw him, he was like, I'm leaving next week. And the reason why he said he was leaving, he said, I'm going back home because the people here go against my beliefs. Like, people in San Francisco or the Bay Area don't believe in a God, don't believe in Jesus. And I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, he wanted to go back home just because he didn't like San Francisco completely. And I don't know if he was visiting family or what, but obviously he didn't stay there permanently because he came back.
He came back and he had, I believe part of why he went home was because he had to get either his birth certificate or his state ID renewed or his social security, right?
Well, that was the second time he came back.
Oh, okay.
So he came back from the East Coast, and then he was here for a couple weeks, and then he went to Las Vegas with his daughter. And he was staying in Vegas with his daughter because he was trying to get some business out in Las Vegas. But then he needed an ID, and then came back a second time.
Okay.
To get his ID.
Okay, so he went East Coast, came back, and then he went to Vegas and came back. And it's really cool thinking about our time with Dwight because he's so just a straight shooter. Whatever's on his mind at that given point in time, that's what he's going to tell you about. And I remember he's always promoting himself, which is such a powerful quality to have. I feel like I definitely learned a lot from him in that regard. He had his SF MoMA exhibit.
Play the clip.
Just on the clip.
Hey, Jarvis, Dwight McQueen. Thank you for the opportunity. Like Buddy Rich on YouTube. I appreciate the exposure at the museum. This is me. Remember me? Show him right here. Show that. Remember me, the drum guy? This is you. I'm not, but thank you. All right, here we go. This is for you, all right? Thank you.
He always had a business card. I have 2 of his business cards right now. I'll show them.
I have 2 different business cards.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He also was working with an organization called The Score, which helped him get a patent for, I believe it was a certain type of garment device, like garment storage, like some kind of. Oh no! Do you remember what it is?
He had a couple
shoplifting.
patents.
It was this like little camera or sensor that is built into a hanger that somehow like prevented shoplifting.
Yeah.
And
I
like
remember that.
Right, it just.
But he had mentioned he had a couple different.
Yes, he had a couple
ideas.
different patents, and he was I think he is still working with The Score to try and find an investor or someone who's interested in producing his product.
And he's a jokester, but he really means well.
Yes, entrepreneurial, same way as Edmund was. So I called him. It didn't dawn on me that I could just call the number on his business card. We were at TTL last week with Mark, who we'll talk about in a minute here. And Mark had helped Dwight get some of his personal records in order. He was helping him book his flights. And he told me, I go, how's Dwight? He goes, oh, he's great. He's loving Vegas. Let's call him. Let's say hi to him. And Dwight took that time to just, I keep telling you, have you been to The Score? You need to take some risks. This is what he said. He said, you need to start taking some risks because going to a job 5 days a week isn't going to get you anywhere. And opinions aside, I think it's so special that he even feels that he can share that kind of information. It's just like, we're calling it friendship, but that's like the kind of thing that even family doesn't say to you, just that kind of honesty and care for you. So we miss Dwight. Hopefully we see him in Vegas.
And go follow his YouTube, Black Buddy Rich on YouTube.
He's a great drummer. All right.
Let's support him.
Yes, let's support everyone.
Let's support, yes, but Dwight specifically, since we're on talking about him. But yeah, in general, let's support people that are, you know, actively trying to better themselves, and you know, are genuinely good people, and even when he has nothing, he's helping others.
Yeah.
And so I could commend that. So
yes, I mean, and that's just a beautiful transition into Lee and Mark, who are gonna wrap up this episode or whatever episode it is, because I'm talking a lot and Lorenzo's giving me the looks.
It's your podcast.
It's my episode. It's our
episode.
podcast. Lee is from North Carolina. He's homeless. He helps the vendors that are near the area in Embarcadero, which is, so the actual location that we go to, I think it has a name, but I don't know it. It's where Market Street ends, before the cable cars. They're not cable cars.
Well, before Embarcadero, basically.
Right. It's before the, okay, what are those trains? The trains that run on Embarcadero?
Trolley? I don't know.
Yeah. It's the little area before the trains and after Market Street ends. Next to where they put the ice skating rink, but not quite over by that industrial fountain. So Lee helps, not only does he help, one of the things that Lee does is he helps the vendors set up their stands, and these vendors are local artisans, and they make jewelry and different crafts. He kind of watches their stands when they need to take lunch breaks or go to the bathroom, and he's just kind of like a community leader. You know, he's always kind of aware of what's happening in the Embarcadero. Lorenzo's Instagram, show it.
Do you want me to show it?
Show it. Show it.
I was trying to pull up the map so I could show them where we are, but
Yeah.
okay. What are we showing?
Lee's post. He, in addition to helping out the vendors at Embarcadero, he also helps out at Glide Memorial when they have events, and he's very proud to be the popcorn man. He's another just extremely kind, good-hearted person. You just can feel the kindness emanate from him before he even says anything. You've had more conversations with Lee, so I'll let you do that, but I want you to share your feelings and experience with Lee.
Edmund.
There's Edmund.
Yeah, so Lee and I have talked we talk pretty much every time I'm out there, you know. He's probably the person I talk to the most. Whenever I go out there, he's always trying to help me pass out food, or not necessarily pass it out, but kind of guiding me to the people that really need it. You know, if there's not a lot of people, he'll say, oh, there's some people over there, or there's some people over here. He's very generous. Sometimes he'll give up his food to give to someone if we run out or something like that. But he's really kind of like what do you call it? Like the caretaker of the area. Mm-hmm. So he's a good guy, very spiritual guy. Yeah, it's just hard to remember everything. It's one of those things where you don't always remember what people say, but you remember how they made you feel. And Lee always gives me that genuine vibe, that very compassionate and very, you know, just such a very caring person. And
Yeah, he's very genuine. I look forward to getting to know him better. I'm only just starting to really talk with him.
Yeah.
So one of the people that Lee helps down at the Embarcadero is Mark, who he's one of the vendors. He makes his own t-shirt designs, and I believe he prints them, and he always has kind of a fresh rotation of shirts available, which I just find impressive because it's so hard to be a vendor down there. He's talked to us about how he's insanely intelligent. One of the things we've chatted about is just like the economics of tourism in San Francisco, and like what would have to happen to make it easier for mom and pop vendors like him to really thrive. And because, you know, we did that little geography lesson, but these vendors are on the financial district side. So they're at the end of Market, You cross the train tracks, you cross Embarcadero Boulevard or Street, and then you're at the ferry building, which is a very ritzy place to eat or shop or even just be in. So I feel like Mark's described just some of that struggle of being a more humble vendor juxtaposed with this huge kind of like luxury, almost tourist destination, and how it just can be tough to compete with that. But he's been interesting to get to know. Do you remember when we first started going?
Yeah. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Is he just trying to mooch off of us?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I didn't know that's how you felt.
No, I did in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Because I just thought he was some random guy. Like,
Yeah.
just passing by, and I was like, oh.
Which there have been some random guys passing by.
Yeah, there has.
Yeah. What I remember about Mark is that he didn't always want to have lunch with us. Like some days
the first time he was like,
yeah, he'd be like, oh, I have my own lunch. And we're like, okay, that's cool. I think we're still getting to know Mark.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
In the first couple of times, I didn't even notice him.
Yeah.
Like, I think you noticed him a little bit more.
He was more of like he had a similar role as Edmund, where I just felt more comfortable because I don't know how to describe this. It's kind of like, this is a stigma, what I'm going to describe here. You have like our side of the bridge, if you will, our quote unquote side being those of us that aren't homeless, and maybe you could say we conform to some nominal expectation of what not homeless is supposed to look like. We work hard, we grind, but we're still conforming, in spite of how challenging things may or may not be for us. And then the stigma is that reaching out to the homeless community is some like laborious gesture where like you have to, travel into the depths of some other part of society where nothing is the same and people don't have the same elements of kindness and generosity, and they don't have the same struggles that you have, right? Like, it's possibly their struggles are much harder and much more complicated because they're homeless, right? So, and I said that's a stigma. I don't feel that way about it now, but I certainly maybe even just subconsciously felt that way when we first started doing TTL. And people like Mark and Edmund and Dwight even were they felt familiar in the sense that they still had, I don't know, that I was able to relate to them. And maybe in my head, I felt like I was relating to them because they were not entirely homeless, quote unquote, right? Whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. I'm trying to describe really abstract feelings that really isn't related to a philosophy. These are just me trying to give you a sense of what this evolution has been, of building relationships with our friends down through TTL. So Mark has been that kind of a presence with us, with me. And I think as he's gotten to know us better and he's seen what we're doing or what we're not doing, maybe, that the relationship has become a little bit more genuine, and that maybe he's getting a little bit more comfortable letting us know who he really is. Because I imagine I could totally understand why he would be guarded being out there and like seeing us come up, and maybe he sees lots of other people who try to build community or help the homeless, or whatever general statement you want to call it.
Yeah, he's a real cool dude though.
Yeah. So that's been roll call. There's more to come.
More to come on the next episode. That was just the first half.
Or maybe we break it up into 2 parts because...
Well, this is going to be 2 parts because you talked for 40 minutes. This is what happens when you make the episode Espy's episode.
I did not make it Espy's episode. You made it Espy's episode.
But yeah, share.
I'm sorry.
Comment, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. The whole 9. Go check out our GoFundMe account. Support any way you can.
Give positive feedback about this very long episode so Lorenzo supports Espy's episodes. Thank you.
We need to come up with the ending. It gotta be like something positive. Like, be appreciative, stay blessed, and have a good day. I don't know. That was terrible. No, but thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Don't forget to look on the bright side. That's these episode.
That was terrible.
You didn't like it?
Terrible.